Second it.
Second. We need a motion to approve the minutes of June 26th. Do I have a motion?
Are you ready? I'll make a motion.
Take a moment if you need one.
Hey, do you have a copy?
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. First order, old business. The best thing we have, first thing that we have here, I don't know if you're all maybe aware, I don't know about you guys, but Acushnet River Valley was again nominated for Best of the Best in this area. So we got that for the second time in a row, so is we should say thank you to Steve and David for doing a good job and keeping the place nice, the grass, so people voted for it. I received the award and I brought it over. It's up there.
Yeah.
Got it.
Try to put it on the wall,
Okay.
right next to last year's.
Good. Keep them going.
That's right.
I'll make an addition just for the award.
Yeah, the next thing in line that we have is
Yeah.
FY19 results. Dane, do you have that?
Yes, I spoke with Julie today, and let's see, gave a quick write-up.
Needs one more, right?
I can make
I started a little late, I ran into this blue Lexus, the smallest.
So I spoke with Julie, she sent over some financials this week, and she went through the specifics with me. Today, we ended up plus 143 for the fiscal year. 8K revenue, 35, 843 cost savings, 100K in the reserve, 143 total. That's with, keep in mind, we had a very challenging early winter set in last year, and a terrible spring with, I mean, what, over 40 days of rain. So if we had half of those days back, it would have been an absolute blockbuster season. But we did all right.
When you say 100,000 to reserve, what does that mean?
Out of our budget.
So you had a reserve, but you didn't spend it?
Correct.
Okay.
So total profit for the season is 143.
Okay, so do you want, any other questions for Dana about that?
So that's returning the 100,000 back to the reserve.
Correct.
So prior, the actual plan, our reserve was 436,000. So we had another 100,000 going back, so we're.
But then you reappropriated it out again for the next fiscal year,
Right,
so you're
right,
back to where you started from. Don't spend the 100 grand.
Right.
But that 143 goes on to our new reserve.
Yes.
So it's 436, so it's 570-ish.
Yes. And that's the
Once
biggest increase you've had in years. So this is good.
With the terrible year, with the ending of the beginning.
Very challenging weather. Very, very challenging weather. So that's a good sign though, for us. And actually, Brian, I want to make a point too, because I was looking over the numbers. A decent piece of that was the elimination of our afternoon special on the weekends, because it allowed us to put through another $24,000 on weekend revenue.
Yes.
So that put us, it allowed us to get the peak rate of $67 for a little bit longer over the course of the entire season, and that resulted in some, in a cash win.
Help for the public.
Yep.
Yeah. But I credit
good thing.
Don't give me that
No, I'm
credit,
just,
I'll give you that credit.
well, it was our
You know,
discussion.
The golf
that
committee's
we
discussion, but
came
your
to,
suggestion,
You know, that decision.
I think it obviously worked out.
It did work out. So to move forward into, the operation.
Yep.
To go over a few things, coming out of the end of last fiscal year, inventories were depleted throughout the entire pro shop. So this week, and last week, I've been ordering, balls, gloves, shoes, shirts, and we've got, several tournaments coming up, so we've ordered some supplies for those, and we're getting everything up to, you know, back to make it look like a retail store once again. One of the other things we had on the agenda, from the last meeting was the wage and classification, which is a work in progress, as we've discussed. I left the outdoor cafe that we discussed on the agenda, just, you know, to keep it fresh, as a reminder that at some point, should we get to a time when there's, some downtime, that's on our to-do list, not obviously a high priority, but, just to keep it fresh in our minds.
We might want to consider doing that at the same time we try to do the parking area out there. So at least we can get,
Right.
Dan can excavate it out.
Tie it all
You know,
together.
put the material down and, you know, level it, and then my guys could do the, you know, the
Perfect.
stonework.
So that's why I'm leaving it there. Whenever there's the opportune time to do it,
Yeah.
we can dive in and take care of that.
Actually, if you needed more, we could actually remove some trees behind the tent T and create a nice area for picnic tables or something under there.
We love
Dress it up a
trees.
little bit.
Trees gives it a little bit of
You
shade.
don't like those oak trees, because underneath the oak
We
trees
like
is where
the
the
trees.
hyperodes overwinter.
He doesn't like trees.
I know he doesn't,
Hyperodes.
we do like trees.
Yeah, I used to be a professional forester.
If we won the links, we'd cut the whole thing, but we don't, we won the cup was that we have now.
But these trees don't come into play.
No, they need the green, I mean, the practice green, yeah.
Such a tree killer.
Like, come on,
Continue,
wait a
keep
minute.
on
You-
going.
There you go. So
Now,
I-
that's
I-
It's not gonna
townhomes
cut
used to
any
be a
tree, so it's not gonna butt in.
Work we got.
It's not gonna butt into it then.
No, we reviewed the tent, we were at with the tent, so the three estimates we had were, it's basically the same amount of money from Chase Canopy and BC Tent, because they're getting it from the same supplier. And then I asked BC Tent if there was any other options, and they said there's a special vinyl coating that, they can order, but they can't guarantee that it gives you any longevity. It just, I think it puts an additional sheen for aesthetics, so it's, you know, I
So
would,
it's $9 grand for the tent.
pretty much.
But I think we sort of decided we need to get one on order.
Yep,
Right,
so,
deliver next year.
The other thing we might want to consider, I don't know how we would work it, but the grill tends to
Yeah.
discolor that tent. I don't know if we could build something that would catch the fumes from the grill
And
take them
divert it?
above the
I
tent.
think you should build a pad and get the grill outside.
Get the grill
Well,
outside and
maybe
put one of
it
those
could
small
be,
tents.
it could be
Right,
part
we
of
could do
the,
that.
Right. Yes,
part of doing that
put,
circle.
so where you have.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I
It
think that would be a
makes
very
some
good idea.
reasonable things that you can put over. in front
Well,
of
we
it.
used to, what I did years and years ago, we took the top of the grill and we built a housing, you know, a brick housing. So it looks like, it kinda looks like a brick oven, you know, how it's square and it's got the flume that goes up. Just set the top of the grill in there, put a tube through the side of the grill so you can connect the
Bingo.
gas tanks.
I'm very much in favor of that idea. Anything that makes our tent last longer and
Yeah,
look better.
and it doesn't look bad, I was gonna bring that up.
Steve, I was
we
gonna-
Yeah, so I don't
basically,
know, I
I
mean,
think in
I'd
the
have to-
past, we've rotated the
We
tent,
moved it around
put
so
the
the black
grease on the
side
back
was on the
corner
other
so
side.
nobody notices it. You
But who-
only
who-
got 2 turns and you're over.
Who we been doing the tent's been what, with Chase Canopy all along?
We've had a previous tent from BC and we've done a tent from Chase Canopy,
Now,
so
where's BC out of?
I think
You
there
see
was no,
tent one in Were they Manitoba
right,
too?
no, Chase is in Mattapoisett,
Is it?
BC I think was in Avon or Reading or
Yeah.
somewhere up in that
Yeah,
area.
they were up the, they were up
We
the
should stay
road.
with the local guy. I would suggest we stay with
Yeah,
Chase
I mean,
Canopy.
if we need service,
Yeah,
They're there.
maybe shoot over and take care of it.
Yeah, we gotta take care of the one in the
local guy. Yeah, for the same
It's the
price,
same
yeah,
price.
exactly, yeah.
Then-
Most things.
Then we had also mentioned the situation with the balloon payment, and I had Keith, the rep come by, this week, and we're sitting down talking, and they are, they're more than flexible to do anything that we need to do. So, what we have outstanding is, 75,382, it would be our last payment. And however we want to break that up, he'll set that forward to his, financial officer. And he was saying, I think we were at a 3.1 interest rate, so we might be at a 3.8 or 3.7, 3.7, 3.8 financing rate, depending on how many years out you want to do it and break out that payment. He goes, but as long as you're willing to pay that extra 2, 3, 4, 5,000 as it go, however long it goes on, he goes, whatever time frame you need, we can do it. So they're not, they don't object to it at all.
So we need to get the details.
The direct answer to the question is I think we want to refinance it. Dave made a suggestion at the last meeting, which I finally bought into, to do precisely that.
Carry it out.
Yeah,
Can you do you have to refinance it with them, or can you go somewhere else?
so we can get a cheaper rate, you'll get a cheaper rate.
And pay them off.
I'll speak to a commercial banker I know and see what we can do.
How many years do you
These
do?
golf carts?
Yeah.
How old are they now?
We've got the, let's see, what do we get? We got the
The
20,
collateral wouldn't be the golf carts, the collateral would
3
be
years old?
guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm
But
just
we
saying you
go-
wanna match the loan to the life of the carts, though, you don't wanna owe
The
money on
life of the
carts
carts-
that are gone.
No, we're
5 to 7 years tops,
Then how old is the loan now?
3 years.
3 years.
So, all right, then go another 24 to 36 months, I would
Correct.
go much more than that.
I think that would be the wise thing to do, is get the most competitive rate.
You don't wanna have a balance on carts, you don't wanna owe money on carts that don't exist
That are dead.
anymore.
Right.
Right. So I think that's something we should just.
They were a year newer than the year in which we got them. So
Right.
we got the newest model out in advance of that year occurring. So,
So when we create the budget for the leasing of the golf carts, I want to add a little extra money into that line item, because I want to do a little bit more maintenance. Some of the cushions already may need to be repaired, or some of the cushions I've seen on the older carts,
yes,
we could probably repair at the same time. So when we create that budget, I want to increase that budget just a smidge to cover some additional maintenance. And I
So
want to
if-
get you a power washer because somebody's not
We-
using it.
we already washed
Okay.
them, what was it, last week? I bought the power washer 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Yeah, we did it 3 days consecutively with the bag boys. and
Am I on
went
what
through
you
all
said,
the
Dave?
parts.
Yeah, I was, personally, I was just not in favor of taking $70-some odd thousand and just paying them off, because it's an expense we're always going to have, so why not just keep it recurring expense and take the difference and put it into operations or other things that we need?
Right. Took me a while to get over to his side, so.
I don't know,
But
if else
I-
agrees with me, but that's.
I think the
that's my
next
personal-
question is to find the best rate we can
Mhm.
on a commercial loan.
If we know too, how long we wanna do it, whether it's 24, 36 months, I can get back to him, he can put forward to his people and get us some
Give me both
paperwork
rates.
and see where we're at.
Yeah.
Well, if you intend to replace them, it's, 5 years down the road like we normally do, then you might wanna keep it so you have that, like we did sometimes, we have that last year, we don't have any money to
Right.
spend on them, so you can save a little bit.
Right. So give me both quotes, that's fine, and,
36 months sounds fair.
well, give me 24 and give me 36, just so we have some options. I think we gotta look at the numbers,
Yep,
and see, and I also wanna know what the interest rate's gonna be.
Yep.
And it will be different for the 36 and the 24.
correct.
So,
It'll be a little bit more for the
Correct.
36.
yeah, and if I'm gonna shop it, I'm gonna need a card inventory to go with it. So that's the theoretical collateral, except the collateral really is the guarantee of the town.
You need a what?
The card inventory,
You already have them.
where do I have it?
I sent that to you, or sent that to someone down in town hall when we flipped the
Well,
cards
I'll
over.
look. But if you have it again, just send it to me now, and I want to go looking for it.
All right.
Or include it, or send it to Dana so we can include it with the proposal he gets. How fast do you think you could turn that question around?
Pretty quickly.
Okay.
He already asked me this morning how'd the meeting go. I said I'll call him after the meeting, he'll jump right on it, and I'll know hopefully before the weekend.
So it's obviously we don't owe any money on the old ones, so
Correct.
the inventory will include both, but they're separated out.
Yep.
It doesn't matter, you chat with them all, you know.
The old ones are already paid for.
Believe me, it really, in a weird sense, doesn't matter as long as we show asset.
So this would be a 2 or a 3-year lease with first payment on July 1, 2020.
I think it would be 2021, yeah.
Right, because we got.
We have the 39,000 due at 8/11/2020.
Right,
Next one will be 2021.
so we want to postpone that $77,000 balloon payment to the following year. All right, so you will get the quotes for that.
Yep.
I'll put a motion on the 10th.
I'll make a motion. We go with Chase Canopy for the price they quoted.
It was like I think it was like 96.
And this is
40,
was-
something
this
like
is
that.
the purchase
9,640.
Next year, or put it in, or bring it.
I bring it in now.
I thought we were gonna wait until the end of the year and start off new.
Yeah, if you bring it in now, you gotta take the old one down.
Yeah,
We'll
we don't
put
wanna-
the order in
No, you
now.
put the order in now, I don't wanna
Get
put
it
it up.
next season.
This tent stays up for the
Or
rest of the
delivery.
season, I don't care what it looks like.
Deliver next March.
With the
Yeah.
new tent, do they get all new structure inside of them?
No, we
That's
keep your
just-
current frame, it's just the
Structure's
cover.
all right, Steve.
Well,
Yeah.
the frame itself just needs to be
Tightened up.
secured, you know, because the wind, the frost,
Yeah.
heat, you know,
I did
moves
have
it
them do
during the
some,
course of the year.
some strap replacements this year, cause they were dry rot, they let go.
But
So-
the tent itself actually comes with the straps attached to the tent. And
Correct.
as Dana said, the ones that needed to be replaced are the ones that were rotten on the tent itself, so.
And I don't know if everybody was here or if we had discussed this somewhere else, but the tent frame dictates the tent that you can order.
Yeah.
That, right,
There's only one.
that's it, it's like a printer and it's printer cartridge. That's, the tent frame has certain characteristics that is built into that tent, and that's why you own that tent.
So is that what we're gonna do? We're gonna order it to deliver in March?
Yes,
of Next year?
yep.
Just might wanna ask them if they take the old one.
In
Dispose of-
trade,
Well, I don't know what trade,
They
but
won't give you
if
anything for
if
it.
they don't
They might
take
even
it,
charge you to get rid of it.
if they don't take it, we can't pick it up and throw it in the dumpster
Yeah,
because
it's big.
it's very heavy and it's not gonna
But
go in.
since
the
we
garbage
haven't
can.
done-
when you're ready, I'll send the DPW down, they'll cut it up and put it away.
Well, you can take it part in 3 sections.
Right.
And who knows, I mean, they may wanna use a section
have
of
You
it.
another
might, yeah, you
suggestion.
could
A tarp or
actually,
something.
right, if somebody needed something,
Yeah.
this
I
comes in
have
3
a better
sections, it's
suggestion.
decent
When we
pieces.
put the cards away for the winter, why don't we take the
I
whole
love
tent
it.
and put it right over it
I love it.
and cover them? Nobody wants to do nothing about check into something to cover those
Why not?
cards.
And we don't care if
Well,
it
the old
gets destroyed.
Well, hey, you know, it weighs a lot. You have no
It's
idea how
heavy,
much
man.
that tent weighs.
So you think it would, with the snow, it might
It
buckle
might-
the...
Yeah, I would be more inclined to
You're
go
such a
through
killer.
individual coverage.
First we get rid of the tree.
If you wanna build the frame, so
Hey,
that
if we
can,
let them
You-
cut
you
the
can
oak
build
trees
a-
and
build
build the
right in the middle.
support,
Hey, can you do something like with 2x4s and?
well, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying, if you, instead of
And
just
make it like a
simply
V.
laying on top of the cart, if you could build a structure that would
So take
support
the
the
caps
weight.
off, just park the
It
things
doesn't
over
have
where
to
it
be
is now.
permanent, it just has to be something that'll hold the weight off the
You
top.
don't get rid of it anyways.
All right, so let's,
hey, that's a great idea. Leave the frame, leave it on the frame, park the cots,
Right underneath it for the
Right
winter.
underneath
You're gonna
the
get rid of
frame.
it anyway, so what the heck
I'll buy
difference
some
does it
cable,
Yeah, but then you got
lock
to
them up,
you have to
done.
cover the whole thing across, around.
Hey,
yeah,
you
we
need to
use
service them,
boat
you
wrap
unlock
for that.
take the
No,
rolls that
no
you
big
need,
deal.
drive it back on.
Well,
So you
if you use wrap for that, we have a
We
good
won't,
windstorm,
we
that
won't
whole
service
thing
them
is gonna
until,
go.
like.
No, I'm
say
thinking
we
we'll
leave
have
it
a boat
open
wrap on the
second week of
carts.
March,
Right.
we'll,
Yeah, I
we'll
don't know
service
what
them
to
2
do.
weeks ahead of time.
Shrink wrap on the top.
Shrink wrap on the carts.
Yeah.
Why not? Underneath, put them
We always,
underneath
that's
that.
what we do anyway, I don't like to
We're
service.
gonna get rid of the
Yeah.
tent anyway, so
Right.
what
Put 'em all
difference does it
underneath.
make?
Yeah,
Right.
it may only last one season, but what do we care?
Yeah, if you're gonna order one for next March, you want a
Agreed,
new one for next March.
perfect, you have housing for it.
You
This
know,
one.
the housing for the carts all winter.
And then I would shrink wrap them.
Sure.
You know, the stuff like they use for
Yep,
packing,
yep,
go around them.
Signs.
and that protects the sides a little bit.
You need to get in there.
I wouldn't put the side on the.
No, I said,
No.
I wouldn't get into,
I
you
shrink
know,
wrapped
I
them
wouldn't
last
get
year.
into
They
the.
work.
The
I kept all the snow, yeah.
Doesn't that keep moisture in?
No, I don't
Well, if you
shrink wrap
leave
them
it,
tight.
you leave a
You
space.
I just cover,
Okay.
I just wrap around, there's like 2 inches on the top, 2
Yeah, you
inches
got
on the
about
bottom,
2-3
and
inches
just
from the
stops the
tires
snow
and
and the
then
rain
a
from
couple
going
inches
in.
from the top and
Alright.
the air will circulate, so it won't get, hopefully it won't be humid enough to get.
Okay, what else you got?
Motion on 10.
Yeah,
Yeah, I made the motion.
second, all in favor?
You don't have the actual price for it.
It was 9640, I think, 9,640.
Just keep it under 10 grand, please.
Yep. So, also, this was last year's, totals, what I had. But we just reviewed the amounts, but that was June, so, June's number, if you take a look at it, was phenomenal. We had an outstanding June, loaded with outings, loaded with regular play. It just took off. So, we did like 260 and change, last June, 2018, and this June, we did 273
Don't change.
and change.
What's the number?
And 10, yes, yep. And then we decided we're going with the 1.364, 730, which was voted on by the finance committee for this year's fiscal forecast targeted, which is essentially the same number that we had this previous season. As far as what's coming up, we discussed the family tea project, which Steve has ordered and got the teas, the black teas as well as the family teas, and myself, Isaac, and Steve were discussing it today, and they reviewed the course and got some ideas, and I'd like to hand that out, as Isaac has prepared his insight. I'm not sure how many copies he gave me, so we might have to share. But basically, it's self-explanatory. Number one, left center, a fairway 70 yards, 250, par 4. I mean, I'm not gonna read it all to you. You can go through it. And this isn't written in stone. These are just suggestions, and we can modify this. But the project is moving.
And the other
forward.
ones that are missing here, you're not gonna change at all, right?
Nope. We only need to, we're at roughly 5,100 up from the forward tees. We're looking to go to 4,500. So we're looking for 600 yards. And between myself, Isaac, and Steve, these were the ideas to get that yardage, draw down that yardage. But
Looks good.
it's,
Good.
you can modify this any way you need to.
Yeah.
I mean, there are other options that you can do to, play with the holes and play with the yardage.
These are the yellow bubbles,
The yellow,
so we need
basically
to-
is gonna be,
you can
I don't wanna
just
call
pick
it a
'em up
plate,
and
but
go.
it's a yellow circle. You can either the demo or the one that I ordered and everybody can look at, which unfortunately hasn't come yet. Standard doesn't like when you only order one thing, once you order 100 or some ridiculous thing, but, that one's 8 inches, it can be either 8 or 11 inches, and this would be, it's placed in the fairway similar to a fairway distance marker, and the top of it is flush with the crown of the plant, so you can see it, but it's not, it wouldn't interfere, it's not gonna hurt it to run over with a cart, or, the fairway mower will cut right over top of it.
Right.
So,
And for anybody that's unfamiliar with what we're discussing, we're basically modifying another tee box for families or elderly players that want to move forward. And this will open up the market to people that frequent the back 9 or some other 9-hole tracks that are around, or require a shorter distance to get acclimated to the game. This makes it a little more
It's
user-friendly.
primarily the carry, I think, that throws people off, the carry from the tee to the fairway. So by giving them you know, less of a carrier, eliminating it altogether. You know, at least if they hit it semi-straight, it'll be in short grass.
And you're gonna try to do something in that area to flatten it out?
Well, we'll pick a flat
Right.
area. I mean, it's,
And
you
then
know,
you're just
I mean,
gonna
it's,
cut, right?
you know, we're
You
just
don't
not
want
gonna,
it in the middle of the
well, it's,
fairway, but.
it's cut, you know, it's gonna be cut at fairway height, which is
Right.
.400, which
So
is the
it'll
same
stand
as
out.
tee height. So, I mean, it'll stand out because of the marker.
Yep.
You know, in talking.
And that gives us what, 4462?
Yes.
I'm gonna ask you one, you know, playing the other day out there, not, this doesn't concern me. You know, the markers, the brown markers, I think it's time for new ones.
Yeah, we're starting to, well, I've purchased some, plastic paint,
Oh,
and we're going to, cut
Some of
around
them
them,
still are ripped.
try to clean them off, and,
Yeah.
well, the rip, obviously the damaged ones will be replaced,
Okay.
but we're gonna trim around and try to use a plastic paint.
Yeah.
You know, it's, you know, I wanna budget for it, but you will be surprised how much.
One of those
Paint
things.
will be much cheaper than replacing.
Well, that's what I wanted to-
What do
if I
they,
could
what do they
replace it.
go for, out of curiosity?
Those things are anywhere from, well, for instance, this one here is $26 for the 8, 36 for the 11.
Okay.
Those are anywhere, depending on the style that you get, anywhere from $16 to $30 individually. So you're looking at
3 per
basically
hole?
90 per hole.
Yeah.
You take away the par threes, you've got, you know, yeah, so you're talking, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Instead of,
Well, yeah, you probably paint the ones that need, it. I know there's a few out there that,
yeah, well, see, the
Totally.
problem, I mean, they wear, the sun wears them out, but they
Sun
also,
fade, dry
you know, I've hit a couple, you know, aerating and slicing and, you know, it's,
all right, I just
Didn't
figured
pick
I'd
up
bring
fast.
that up, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure you were aware.
yeah, we're gonna, I mean, we finished all the sprinkler heads this week, we're gonna go out and start trimming all the distance markers.
what this might do for us as well, is Steve could probably speak to this too, with the wear and tear, that since we've changed the color of the forward tees, we have seen the pick up and play on those smaller tee boxes. So by maybe adding these, maybe that'll lessen some of the impact. And some people might move forward one step further, and that
Well,
will help
it's,
repair.
what we now term forward tees are, in a lot of places, taking a beating, because we have, not only do we have the women playing there, we have the seniors playing there, and we also have the kids playing
Yep.
there. And if this trend continues and we continue to get more people like that, we're going to have to consider, you know, enlarging some of these tees. I mean, some of them, like the one on the 8th hole, is no bigger than these 3 tables put together.
Right.
And a lot of times, we move them over to the larger tee just to give them something that's reasonable to hit off of, that doesn't have, you know, 200 divots in it. Same thing with the one on 12 and the one on, the one on 5, even the one on 6 is starting to get chewed up. So, again, we're benefiting in one way, but in the future, we may want to consider, you know, making them a little bit bigger, because a lot of them seem as though they were an afterthought during construction.
But this should take some out of those tees.
You think, hope so.
And we can build
Basically,
them
back then, it was,
to be nicer.
there wasn't a lot of those people that would play a forward team. Now there
Right.
seems
Yeah.
to be more, which is fine.
Well, there was a stigmatism associated
Right,
with
for
the
the
red
red
tees.
tees.
before
So
we
what
did.
colors are we gonna use now?
Yellow.
We have a yellow marker which will be used for these.
The forward tees?
While these are what, for lack of a better word, would be a short
Short
course,
course.
fairway short course. Your green marker is your forward marker, your white marker is your, you know, again, for lack of a better description, you know,
No, this,
20, 22 to and up handicap, you know, or 25 and up handicap. Your blue marker is probably somewhere between, you know, 12 and 25, and then your black marker is your
single digit.
scratch or single digit handicap.
That's great. What a compliment.
That's what I, you know,
Yeah.
so-
One comment I would make is that the senior tees, which I think we will end up defining as the green markers, we need to make some adjustments of those. And kind of on the same basis,
See
come
now,
up with the right yardage, and then, for example, senior tee on 6th, it shouldn't be where the green is now. I think it should be on with the white. There's times where the senior tee should be equal to the what's right
The
on
other
a
thing
third
you
one.
could, the other thing you could do if you wanted to with specific tee marks is, I mean, you can get them half and half,
Yeah.
Right. that's
half white, half
exactly.
green. So,
And you just put the green on one side and
Yeah.
white on the
Yeah,
other.
that's what they usually do.
yeah,
And
but
they-
without having to buy a new one. Yeah.
Perfect.
Right, and just kind of let the golf, let
Let the
the
golfer choose
golf
which one they
golfing
want to
public know that we now added a senior team, and
Yeah,
you
from
can
there.
have your discussion with them as to
Now-
how to play it.
Scorecards, what's the school?
We have to make new ones.
Yeah,
Next year.
next year.
Yeah, that's
I'm gonna run through what I've got right now.
So you would have a scorecard that has a half yellow or whatever color and half,
Yeah,
so there'll be a 2 yardage.
I'll sit down with Steve and Isaac,
Okay.
we'll lay
You know what
out,
I mean, right?
yeah, we'll lay out
All right.
what we need,
Yep.
and we'll
The other
just add
thing,
it to the
the
pile.
other thing you might be, I mean, because, you know, scorecards are only so big. You
Right.
might be able to create, like we do in some instances for outings and other things, a separate seniors
Sure.
scorecard that would have just that on there. You know, if somebody wanted, you know, and the other
Short
thing about
course card.
the short course card is those fairway markers that are out there, you know, it's probably not the easy, you can still see the green in the green, but you can make them green so the forward tee, you know, so it's all the same color. You know, so you wouldn't have, because, you know, you're gonna have some people on some holes playing from a forward tee, and then other holes they're going to play from some of these, which are gonna be yellow. So, you could match that.
But you can do scorecards very different too. You could make a match and
That's
play
right,
them
that's
so you
what,
can
when
have
you
all
go,
different
when you go down
yards.
south, they
Yeah.
have match and play.
Play,
Yeah.
right, you can show the yards that
Basically
you
what it's
want.
called, match and play.
Yeah,
You play, you look at the total score of each 9, and then you figure out as a group where you're comfortable
but they
playing.
tell you, they write it, they show
Yeah.
you the yards for the course.
Exactly, it's at the, at
That's,
every
that's a
nine.
scorecard I would
Yeah.
like to see.
Match and play, that's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, you have
So,
anything else?
yeah, just to keep moving forward, upcoming events, we've got the ladies championship coming up, the men's championship, the women's invitational. We also have a players, aptitude, players aptitude test, is that what it is?
Yes.
PAT, for the, PGA students,
5th of August.
5th of August, and as well as with the senior amateur.
Yeah.
Oh,
The
is it?
qualifier is coming our way.
Yeah.
Now,
So-
how many
That's
people are at the
September.
PAT?
PAT, seven threesomes.
Yes.
They tee off and they play 18 holes,
Right.
and they take a break and they tee off and they play
Play
18
18
holes.
ones, they
They
play
play
36 on a day.
Yeah.
So you got paid for that?
You'll get paid for that, yeah. You basically, you'll get paid for 1 round and they'll play 2 rounds. But we've also been on the PGA's website for the whole
Publicity of it.
season of all these guys, and you got guys coming from all over because they wanna pick their course where they think they can play best. So you're gonna get a few rounds, and they do practice rounds, they bring friends with them, so
Yeah.
you get your revenue out of it. It's definitely a good thing.
It's good
To
publicity.
be affiliated with the
exposure.
PGA Players Test, we're going in the right direction.
Real good exposure, so.
Absolutely. So with that taking place, moving forward, we've got, we just implemented for the next 2 weekends coming up, a special golf now, 2-week weekend promo from 12 o'clock to 2 o'clock. We're gonna, anybody that books via golf now, will get the twilight rate for those 2 weeks. Looking at the tee sheets for the next, for the upcoming week, it dies off pretty early, so I'm looking to see if we can gather a few hundred rounds on some short money rounds, because it's better to get something for them than for those tee times to go dormant.
People
So,
try to
we'll see
eat
what
to eat in the morning.
Yeah, we'll see what happens when this goes live and they get their hot deals coming up on the weekend, and hopefully we'll fill some of those times, because right now they're empty. Which we've discussed previously, but some guys aren't familiar. July has turned into a staycation, vacation month for us, where 8 years ago it was a blockbuster month. Then it kind of just fell apart, and we were all wondering what was going on, and people have been sitting at the beach and doing cookouts for the month of July. And we're just trying to get back to the old school and get some more people playing some golf, so that's where we're at. And we're just trying to stay proactive on the pricing to maintain momentum.
Well, I'm glad you're looking at that.
Where's our revenue year to date?
July, yes. Let's see what I got. So, for this month, we had 210 forecasted, and I got, right now, right before the meeting, I printed this, we're at 189 on a 210 forecast, leaving us roughly 25K with 5 days left. We should be able to achieve that number with the forecast that's out there, so.
How far behind last year?
189 versus 193, roughly 4,000. So, yeah, yeah, it's not, we had some rain
Yeah,
days
it's
that
supposed to be.
Good.
set it in.
No tornadoes.
Yeah, yeah, we don't want that.
And I want to also point out, Brian sent this over, just let everybody know, we do have liquor liability insurance, which prior to Brian's coming here, we didn't have adequate coverage, to put it that way, and now we do. So I commend Brian for picking up the ball on that. Appreciate it. And no mas.
Good.
That was good. Now maintenance, Steve. Update, give us a quick one.
Yeah.
Where the hell Julie
You like my air conditioning? It's motivational air conditioning.
motivated you to get the hell out of here?
That's what I mean.
Did you even bring refreshments?
Hey, the freezer is full
What?
of freeze pops if you'd like one.
What
Take
kind
the
of
knife
a
by the
host
sink, you
are
cut the
you?
plastic off the top, and hey, look,
Have a ball.
see, they're all right there. This is what keeps the guys cool in the
Yeah,
summer.
at
We'll pass them up.
104 heat index, those come in
Did you get the
handy.
ice machine fixed?
The
Working on
parts
it.
for the ice machine are supposed to be here tomorrow.
Okay.
From what, from the shipping information they did, and I wanted to thank Lisa for that, because Lisa, I was able to call her up, and she was able to handle the
Paperwork with her.
paperwork with the credit card. Because it was,
Huh? I'm gonna
Parts
get
are
you
only
a pack
available
like this
online.
for Christmas.
it's my
Just
face
for
paper.
you.
That's
Just
what
for
they
you.
make.
A little
Good
thicker,
stuff.
okay? Remind you.
Costs more.
Huh?
Costs more.
Not significantly so.
Share that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, you know what, it would cost less though, is if we all bought it in bulk throughout the town.
We
it would
do.
cost less.
Why don't you buy it from us?
What, you want me to come down and buy it from you?
He's
Yes.
gonna mock it
I
up.
didn't, I
The
didn't
town-
know I could buy
The town
paper from
side of
town
the
hall.
schools jointly purchase paper, and we save a ton of money.
You could just give them a case once a month.
Kid,
45 bucks.
kid.
Well, actually,
That's a
I don't-
four-letter word.
I don't use, actually, I probably use.
I usually just
what
go down in the
what do they
hallway
call
and
them?
take it,
Reams,
run
I
out of
probably
there.
use 3, maybe 4 reams a
Then
year.
seriously, don't.
If I didn't have to keep on making additional copies for invoices for town hall, or for finance.
I gotta tell you, you are not using this quality paper.
No, we're not.
Guarantee it.
There's a real financial control officer upstairs that would probably cut you up.
It's not significant in the long run. I spend more
Significant.
money blowing goose poop off of putting green than I ever would on paper.
Huh.
And I can take care of the goose poop problem too, if somebody would allow that.
I rent a truck.
Every morning.
Yeah, they're gonna-
Gun.
So, we went from June, which was a relatively decent month. Didn't have too bad of weather. We had some weather issues here and there, but we did have a significant amount of rain, and that continues to be the case in July. Right now, via our rain gauge, which is outside the building, we're at 4.8 inches, and that was across basically 5 primary rain events. So almost each one of those rain events was in some about an inch. And that's, in relating that to what, Dana said, we lost Tuesday this
Yes.
week. Then we
That was
lost
crazy.
a Wednesday,
Some of the little things.
or Tuesday, no, it was a Friday.
Almost no.
It
Yeah.
was a Friday that we lost before because of another rain event. So needless to say, the rain has impacted revenue, but the rain has also impacted us from the standpoint of the severity and incidence of perfect diseases. Our plan that we have in place to address those is working. Although the only issue that we face with this type of weather is that the rates at which you go out tend or need to be elevated, and the frequency with which you need to go out, the period needs to be shortened. just because of the type of weather you're dealing with and the fact that you're not only dealing with weather, but you put the plant under stress in order to play golf. So our plan is working, our turf is healthy. The only issue that we have at this point is some damage from a little small insect, which is probably no bigger than the end of your pen or pencil, called an annual bluegrass weevil. This insect occurs from April, or is prevalent from April until it gets so cold that it wants to hibernate. And it's not a type of insect that follows a regular pattern where it's going to have a clutch of young at this time of year and that's it. They continue to have, they go through what's called 5 instars from a small pupa to an adult. 6 stages, 5 of them feed, and all 5 stages feed on different parts of the plant, which makes it difficult to target. And this year has really been a difficult year because, phenology has been off, which is the plant indicators, because of the weather. The amount of moisture at the beginning of the season made you think that you didn't have an issue and you couldn't really find them, but as soon as it got hot, you found out how much of your root system they were eating. We're into our 6th or 7th, actually the 6th application was made this morning, and in 2 weeks we'll be into a 7th application. Hopefully that'll knock the population down to the point where it's not an issue. Primary amount of it shows up on tees, in our case, it'll show up as thinning in brown spots, which look very similar to damage caused by hot weather, where the turf just bakes out, and that's what the insect, the most damaging stages of the insect chew on the roots, and in some stages the leaf sheaths and the crown, which weakens the plant. The plant looks fine, and then all of a sudden you get a heat wave like we had past over the weekend, and it really puts a significant stress on the plant, and those plants which have been damaged by the insect show that stress. There's 1 or 2 tees that I'm probably going to experiment with and just go out and aerate, overseed them. I mean, right now it's great growing weather for grass, but it's not great longevity weather for grass because you're into pythium and then it'll cause damping off in your seeds and it'll look great one day, come out the next day and it's all dead. So we're going to try it out on 1 or 2 tees, but that's basically what we'll do. And we do a lot of that each year is where we'll aerate and overseed and reestablish the turf cover. And some of the turf that is damaged will basically go dormant and come back. But in some of the areas we just have to be careful, especially the equipment wear and tear because it puts a significant stress on the plant. But other than that, I mean, for the weather we've had, for the amount of play we had in June, and actually, with a couple rain days, we've been pretty busy in July. And it's, the heat exasperates the turf condition, but it also pushes people to use golf carts. And you'll see out there in places where people have driven across stressed turf, and the next day, so you've got brown tracks going in one direction or the other. There's really not much you can do about that right now. It's just the nature of the beast with the weather and the fact that people are going to tend to ride more and ride more when they're actually playing than they normally would when it's hot. As far as the budget goes, I added a 3rd page in here just to show what had been done. In the past couple of meetings, we discussed I had discussed transferring money from one account to the other. So if you look at the top under FY 2019 budget, you can see where it says 168,690 for salaries, maintenance, employees. There was $20,000 transferred from that. If you look down 2/3 of the way down the page, you see the transfer of $20,000. Then you see the amounts that went to the particular categories: fringe benefit, energy, utilities, rentals, and leases. Those amounts were based on estimates that I had made for expenses throughout the course for the remainder of the year when I talked to Julie about this in the beginning of June. If you look on the budget balance column, anything listed in red is a deficit or was a over budget expense in a line item. And in some cases that even appeared where I had made additional estimates. But in the end, when you add everything up and subtract everything, you're about $1,919 in the black. If you look at two categories there in particular, repair and maintenance equipment that are highlighted in green, those were the two line items where we took monies from equipment leases and residual capital. If you look at the very bottom of the page, equipment leases were $40,000, residual capital was $15,240, which added up to $55,240. And if you look immediately below that, you'll see that $27,895 of that went to R&M equipment, and $27,345 of that went to pesticides and PGO. So I just wanted to let everybody see what we have been discussing in the past, where it went and how it filtered out at the end of the year. So, and with that and what Dane presented budget-wise, it's a pretty clear picture where we ended up FY19.
But I don't know if everybody got it, but I can forward the report that Julie gave to me. I don't know if it was sent to everybody on the golf committee about the final expense report, so I can shoot it out to everybody.
Was that included in what you sent out? Did you send out year-to-date?
We had like a 54-page synopsis.
You could get there,
of
but
everything.
he came back and said, I don't get this, and listed a
Well, I got
basically a
it.
complaint. So Julie went back and redid the
Summary
paperwork,
report.
Summary report and sent it back, and I believe I sent it over to Ed.
Yeah, I just took what you gave, which was normal
Yeah.
year-to-date, because in the year, I don't have it with me, but it's in my computer, but the year-to-date report listed the initial budget, any transfers or
Right.
additions and so on, so I just took the numbers off of that. The numbers that you see here on this sheet are the numbers that came from the year-to-date.
And, to come out at the bottom line as you did, that was good.
Hey, in order to go through this, you need a doctorate degree in finance.
You got one.
Close.
You're all set.
I'm doing all
So,
right.
little update on our equipment. Our equipment, it's kind of an interesting thing to come in each day, because after you start, after 45 minutes to an hour, you're not really certain which piece of equipment is going to break down and which one's going to continue to work for the course
Don't
of the
let
day.
him break down.
Well, it's not a question of letting them. At times they have
Nice
a mind of
and
their own.
It seems to me.
Throw 'em around.
Well, I mean, they said something as simple as almost all of our equipment has safety switches in the seat. And at times the safety switch becomes loose, and then the ignition won't work, and nothing on the machine will work. And you have to go through an electronic diagnostic to find out that it's just the little safety seat under the seat, switch under the seat. But anyway, I can't remember, with the exception of maybe a weekend where we've gone more than 2 consecutive days without having a breakdown or a condition that temporary or indefinite sidelines a piece of equipment. But right now, we have 2 pieces of equipment that are sidelined. The Toro Workman, which is the utility vehicle which carries our blower. We've redone the carburetor. I'm thinking that the possibility it may be an electrical issue, although we're waiting for the remaining parts to complete that. We have a GP400, which is the one that is discussing is a T-triplex. Right now, it's inoperable. I'm having a little debate with MTE. They feel that it's a certain hydraulic condition and feel that it's something else. So what I've decided to do is send that unit up to them, and they can diagnose it and give me their opinion and give me what they think it's going to cost to repair it, of course, before they do anything. But there's basically what the problem is there's 2 hydraulic pumps. Actually, there's 3 on the machine, but 2 of them, one's a gear pump, one's a transmission pump. There's a union between the 2. The piece of equipment is leaking hydraulic fluid at the union, but they say that there isn't supposed to be hydraulic fluid flowing from the gear pump to the transmission pump. So we're in a little bit of disagreement about that, so they're going to take a look at that piece of equipment and see what their diagnosis comes up with. We also have our LF 550 fairway mower, which is working fine, but it's scheduled to have hydraulic hoses and hydraulic fluid changed in it. And in order to change the hydraulic hoses and fluid, of course, you have to put the machine up on the rack and drain all the fluid out of it. change the filter, inspect it to see if there's any metal shavings in the fluid and so on. So that takes it out of commission for a day and a half, almost 2 days, during that whole process. So what we're doing right now is trying to line up a demo from our friends at John Deere of their most recent fairway mower. It gives us an opportunity to look at the machine and how it will function on our course, but also gives us an opportunity to take that machine out of production for a day or two and not lose any productivity out on the golf course. So once we get that scheduled properly, then we'll be taking that machine offline so we can change all those hoses. There's actually 8 hoses that we'll be changing. One of them blew before we got changed, so we've already prepared that one. We also have our Toro fairway mower has a slow engine oil leak. My Toro rep has been here. We've all looked at it. It's not a major issue, but it's something that we're going to have to address. It's not leaking a lot of oil. It's kind of similar to an old car. Most old cars, no matter how tight you make the engine, it's eventually going to leak a little bit of oil here and there. And you can look out in our parking lot and see that happening from some of our staff automobiles. But we're monitoring that, and if it gets, when it loses, if it has not yet lost oil significantly between oil changes where it would have to be, oil would have to be added, but we monitor it daily to make sure that if it does start to get low on the dipstick, that we can keep the appropriate amount of material in it. And then what we're going to have to do is pull the engine off the chassis this fall and find out where exactly that leak is coming from. And we have one other of our GP 400s, which has an intermittent hydraulic leak, which I don't really see out on the course anywhere, but when it sits in the building overnight, you get a few drops underneath it. So we're keeping an eye on that. This is another, these issues are something that really begs to the newer pieces of equipment that they have on the market, which are hybrids, which have a very limited amount of hydraulic fluid. Hybrid being that they're real motors and lift and lower mechanisms are operated by electric motors in the machine as opposed to a hydraulic system, so it limits the amount of hydraulic fluid and limits those concerns and those expenses. So hopefully in the future, when we do consider new equipment, we can look at those and start eliminating some of these issues that plague older equipment, and keep it a little bit longer. And the other thing I wanted to point out is it seems as though there's a lot of repairs that need to be done, but during the course of the summer, we're here with repairs to equipment, but those are the significant out-of-place things that occur in and above or routine maintenance, where all of our reel mowers are examined at least once a week for the proper height and cut, for the proper lubrication, whether or not sometimes a roller bearing will come loose that sets off the height of cut, so you have to break down the roller, take it apart, put new bearings and seals in it, put it back on. That takes 2 to 3 hours. So these other repair jobs, which take 5 to 6 hours and a portion of a day, really chew into our ability to do the other routine maintenance, especially in the environment where we have a limited amount, if any, of overtime for any of our staff, and we also have a mechanic where at times we have to have him out in the field helping with course maintenance and mowing operation. So we're keeping on it as best we can, and our equipment is, to Norm's credit, is functioning well and cutting well. It's just that with the older equipment, these types of issues are going to pop up more frequently, and they're going to be more expensive because it's not only minor components, but it's major components to the operation of the machine that break down over time. And the last thing I wanted to mention is that we received a quote for fairway aeration from Sportscapes Unlimited. It's a solid tine aeration of 33-acre fairways. The cost would be $7,500. They would come in and supply the people, the machines, and the aeration tines. Our responsibility would be to go out and flag the sprinkler heads and any other objects in our fairways. For instance, on the 5th hole and on the 9th hole, we had drains, which would be marked so the aerator would lift up and not go over the drain grates, and so on. They would come in, they would be done in a day, compared to what we have available to us, which is one aerator, which at Airport 1500 from John Deere, which aerates a width of 4 feet 9 inches. And would normally, if we could do it consecutive days, it would probably take us 2.5 weeks of not including Saturdays and Sundays, 2.5 weeks of uninterrupted aeration to be able to complete what we have out there, given the size of the equipment. So it's an opportunity to get it done. I know it's not at this time isn't a budgeted expense, but I think it's something that we should budget in the future. This would be, until we're at a point in time where we can afford larger aeration equipment in our equipment budget. So I wanted to put that out there. And again, this would be something that would be done in the fall. At this particular stage, it would be late September. And then what we would be doing either, at a period prior to that and even after that, again, depending on how things go, would be verticutting fairways. Verticutting goes a little bit quicker, although it makes more of a mess to clean up. And the other thing with our smaller sized equipment, and it impedes golfers. I mean, they're eventually going to catch us. For instance, today I was here at 4:30. I started spraying at 5:15 for tees, approaches, and par 3 fairways, and I got caught on the 11th hole. It's just, you can't go any faster. The machine goes 4 miles an hour to spray, and you can only get 300 gallons worth of material in it, then you have to come back, fill it up, and go back out again. So, long and short of it is, we get caught, which slows down the process. But we can, with the verticutting and the cleaning and the aeration, I think it'll, help some of the weaker spots in the fairways. At some point in the future, if we can afford a fairway roller and fairway spiking equipment, then that's something we could do. It's a much quicker operation, and something we could do on a more frequent basis that would also help with the issues on some of the fairways, which, for the most part, to many of the golfers just look like hot spots. But what they are is thatch built up and what they call hydrophobic spots where water won't penetrate because of the thatch buildup.
That's it?
That's it, unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions?
We're gonna need one of the flatbeds tomorrow for running that on.
Yeah, we'll be here
When you guys are
tomorrow.
done, just drop it off.
We're gonna start at 4:30, so we'll, somewhere in the process we'll get one up
You
there.
guys want any lesson, any questions? Well, next meeting.
I'm not here from the 12th to the 22nd, so.
What's the dates? What's the dates in July?
Dates in August?
Yeah.
You have, well, if you wanna go Thursdays, you have the 1st, the 8th, the 15th, the 22nd, and the 29th. Of course, the 1st would be too close, so you're probably looking at 15, 22nd, or 29. John
You're
said
not
he
gonna be
wasn't
here
gonna be
until
I'm not here the 12th to the 22nd.
so,
The 29th is cruise night.
Is it?
yeah.
29th, so that's downtown hall, cruise night.
Yeah, well, it means, I'm tied up, Roger's tied up.
They always have a meeting on that night.
Do you have a
of the
car?
year.
Huh? Would you help?
No, I think we,
Bring in the
normally
electric
we have
car,
a meeting on the same
Always
night
got
that
a
they have the
car.
cruise night.
Yeah.
For the last few
new
years.
generation.
We can go around that, we can go by the back.
No,
Well, what time is cruise night start?
about 5 o'clock,
5 o'clock.
4:30, 5 o'clock.
Yeah,
I mean, it's okay with me.
I
because,
got to 8.
One,
We'll
we're
do a
meeting
quick-
at town hall because it's air conditioned. And two, if you do it at cruise night, you're gonna have to be efficient because you're gonna wanna,
Well, I mean,
If
the
I have a hot
cruise
rod,
night,
show
the
up.
activity starts at 5, but I'm sure there's stuff prior to it.
Sure.
people coming in, parking,
Yes.
and all
Oh,
that.
yeah, they'd be trying to get there around 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wouldn't it be safer to do it here?
Yes.
So you can access,
Well,
you won't have access to
then
the
I
town
won't
hall
be
over
here.
there.
Roger
About
won't
the
be here.
second week in September.
And I'm gonna bring my car there.
So that's the
Second week
29th.
of
What's the
John's
date in
not gonna,
September?
Hey, second week of September,
Oh, it's September 5th.
Labor Day weekend.
This guy's gonna be here?
No, that's,
Yeah.
the 4th is on Wednesday.
The fifth is
Fifth is
Thursday,
off.
so yeah, you're right.
September.
Fine with you too?
Yeah.
So next meeting is September 5th.
Bingo.
Here.
So,
Town hall.
Here.
Yeah.
It's cool by then.
actually,
Okay,
Town hall.
wait a minute.
it'll be up to Ed
Hey,
to
you went to town
decide.
hall, I don't care what you want.
I
No,
got
it's okay.
leaks, I'm still billing out leaks
Yeah, I
when this
think we
week
have to
starts.
stay here until he's all done.
Yeah,
That's
So
what,
it's gonna be here.
didn't we talk about that
Yes.
way
We
back
usually-
when?
At this point, we're usually going at 5 o'clock, not 4:30,
Yeah.
because I'm still
Okay,
active.
So September 5th is what, a Thursday?
But I
Thursday,
can, if it's
Yeah.
here, I can shoot out
Thursday
at
at
4:30.
4:30.
4:30 here.
4:30 here?
Yeah, at the close, yeah.
I can get back. My daughter has a game in Middlebury.
Have a date.
I'll bring the air conditioner, you can stick it out the window.
Yeah.
September.
You have a guy go on
This
the
is nothing.
motion to
No,
adjourn
she
in order.
I'll make a motion.
Have a second?
I'll second.
Good night.
Manny.